Welcome back to the News at 10. Let's take a look at some of the pictures that you sent in to our Eyewitness portal. We begin with this one, sent in from Buari area in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. It shows herdsmen and their cows moving along this road. Our Eyewitness reporter calls on relevant authorities to prohibit such acts. Our next photo was sent in from Nvuike Road in Rumudara community in Rivers State. It shows the aftermath of heavy rains. Eyewitness reporter calls on state authorities to construct better drains. Next, we see this picture showing a long queue of vehicles on Odupani Road, which lies 8 kilometers away from Calabar, the Cross River State capital. Eyewitness reporters spent several hours in this traffic jam. A final picture comes from Poka Road in Ekpe area of Lagos State. We see a couple of boys hanging on dangerously to a moving bus. Eyewitness report advises relevant authorities to help discourage this act. The Minister of State for Petroleum says the era of discretionary sale of crude oil by the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation is now a thing of history. Dr. Ibe Kachuku warned Chinese businessmen seeking clarification at the Nigerian embassy in Beijing about offers for sale of crude from Nigeria, that such offers are scams. The minister, who spoke at a reception organized by officials of the Nigerian embassy in the Chinese capital, explained that only 11 companies were approved to lift crude oil from Nigeria following an open bid process, adding that the next bid will hold in April next year. He says the use of discretion in the sale of crude oil by previous administrations led to corruption in the country's oil industry. The Abia State government has signed a memorandum of understanding with Aldov Limited to build 300 housing units worth $30 million. Governor Willie Obiano, who signed on behalf of the state government, said the state's housing sector has attracted a significant number of investments over the last 2 years.
The governor of the state, Willie Obiano, at the table, signing the memorandum of understanding with the hope that the first phase of the housing scheme will be ready in 18 months. The chairman of the state's Investment Promotion and Protection Agency, ASIPA, says there are other benefits besides providing affordable housing.
This project will generate an estimated 500 direct jobs and some 1,500 indirect employment opportunities on the Anambra, and of this, some 75% at least will be reserved for our Anambra people.
Governor Obiano explains why embarking on this project is absolutely necessary.
Up till now, Asaba and Enugu, most of our civil servants still come to work from those areas because of inadequate housing.
He has also paid attention to aesthetics.
In Oka, we reserve some areas for high-rise buildings, 20-story, 15-story, 25-story, that kind of stuff, facing the golf course, deliberate, just to ensure that in our plan we leave out good areas for ambience and what have you.
The chairman of Aldov Limited, who is also the company's managing director, is confident that he has entered into a successful partnership since it was midwifed by professionals.
I want to assure you of the maximum cooperation and determination to provide housing for our people. And we have not done because the financial base is there. That is why our bankers have been with us from inception. Every meeting we attended with our bankers.
The cost of the $30 billion housing project is to be shared between the state and the investor at a ratio of 3 to 7. And on completion, prospective owners will be allowed to pay outright or enter into a mortgage arrangement.
Let's get more on the business of the day with Adeshawa Josh.
You first. First Bank.
Thank
you, Amarachi. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Business News. EcoBank Research Group has released a new report stating that Nigerian oil-producing companies are expected to go on massive capital raising exercise to shore up their equity capital. The report says the anticipated round of capital flotations was due to low oil prices that have weakened oil firms' operating cash flows and the impact of rising insecurity in the Niger Delta Basin. Well, EcoBank analysts point out that Nigeria's independent oil firms will require improvement in their corporate governance and reporting standards to enable them access equity from local and international stock exchanges. Local independent oil companies currently rely on debt funding sourced to acquire and operate assets purchased from the international oil firms in recent years. Fitch Ratings has downgraded the issuer default rating of Lagos State to B+, just a week after the same agency slashed Nigeria's sovereign rating to the same level. Fitch Ratings on Thursday says a downgrade of the sovereign ratings would lead to a corresponding action on Lagos issuer default rating. Fitch cuts Nigeria's long-term foreign currency issuer default rating to B-, that's to B+ on June the 23rd, with a similar outlook. A similar action was applied to Lagos State on Thursday. Lagos is Nigeria's largest economic powerhouse, as you know, with an estimated annual gross domestic product of about $220 billion. According to Fitch, the next rating review date for Lagos State is scheduled for September the 2nd. Well, the federal government has been advised to encourage local brewers with incentives in order to improve the economic value chain of production. This view is coming from a former governor of Cross River State, Mr. Donald Duke. Analyzing the advantages of the brewing industry for the country, he says grants for research and tax rebates will enable brewers localize their raw materials.
So if you look at the sorghum is grown only in the north, right? 250,000 farmers are involved in sorghum production. That's a huge number. So if you kill the industry, you're vicariously killing them. Secondly, we are the largest producers of cassava in the world, 30 million tons of cassava. We don't consume up to half of it, right? The only industrial consumption of cassava can ensure that we consume and produce even more. So you've got to encourage the pharmaceuticals, the alcohol industry, and when I'm talking about, I'm not even talking about brewing, I'm talking about alcohol for ethanol and all that, right? Then the brewery industry. So until agriculture is industrialized, not only in its production, but in its consumption, right, you're not going to get productivity enhanced in that sector.
The Nigerian stock market reversed the slight gains recorded on Wednesday and ended the last trading day in June negative. Bolaji Akinwale brings us more details.
Welcome to the Stock Market Report. The local bourse reverted to negative territory, closing the last trading day of June down by 0.72% as sell pressure resumed after Wednesday's brief gain. Market breadth was moderate, with 21 gainers against 24 decliners on the price chart. The top three gainers in percentage term were NEM Insurance, Fitson Healthcare and Conoil, up by 8.5%, 7.9% and 5% each. On the other hand, Transnationwide Express emerged as the major loser with a 5% decline, followed by Champion Brewers and Portland Paints with 4.7% declines apiece. A total of 342.6 million shares worth 4.6 billion naira were traded in 4,078 deals, much of this from GT Bank, EcoBank, Transnational Incorporated and IUCO. And that is on the Stock Market Report. I am Bolaji Akinwale.
Thank you, Bolaji. And to other markets around the world, Asian, European and US markets ended the month of June mostly positive, following dovish comments from Bank of England Governor Mark Carney over the fallout of UK's referendum result. Here's a look of how the markets performed. And that's Business News Tonight. The News at 10 continues in a moment. I'm Adeshewa Josh.
You first. First Bank.
Lager Beers, a pioneer in the country, Nigerian Breweries, is advising alcohol consumers to moderate their consumption of beers. This call was made at the Nigerian Beer Symposium organized by the Blue Chip Brewer earlier today. At the forum, the implications of beer consumption was examined in various ramifications.
The concerns of beer consumption cut across the spiritual, health, and socio-cultural perspectives. This symposium, put together by Nigerian Breweries, attempts to take another look at the benefits of beer and demystify the wrong perceptions.
Beer, taken regularly and in moderation, has many defined nutritional and health benefits and can indeed be part of a healthy lifestyle.
The first fallacy is beer is an alcoholic beverage. Wrong. Beer is a brew first and foremost. If spirituality is the apprehension for beer, take solace in 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 23. Drink no longer water, it says, but use a little beer for thy stomach's sake and thy often infirmities.
What is the role of the beer parlor in the drinking? Does it change? Doctor?
Most of the free consultations I do is in that part. It creates an informal atmosphere for people to get together.
With the advantages of lager beer now made known, experts want consumption moderated while sustaining the business value chain.
There are also a lot of economic benefits of the beer industry. To give you an example, Nigerian Breweries employs 4,000 people that are directly on the payroll. But what is even more important is the indirect employment we generate.
An average bottle of beer contains 90% of water, barley, hops, and yeast.
It is the least alcoholic. You don't need to go to science to know that it's made from fresh vegetable materials.
The experts have spoken, and the main thrust of their message is that nothing enjoyable is bad until it is abused.
Still ahead on the News at 10, Zlatan Ibrahimovic confirms football's worst-kept secret that he'll be joining English giants Manchester United this summer. We'll have more in sports news. Please join us again.